Cast Worthy Podcast, episode 147, Sunday, March 22nd. We're back. Uh, I just played the intro video. I don't know if it caught it, but it's fine. My computer's a little slow. It's only two of us here today. Two-man game, VP, research, coming out at 305. Myself, EJ Stewart, and the captain, the leader of the ship, whose opinions we often don't agree with. He has his own. They are no representation of the show at large. He's down somewhere in the South, seemingly having a good old time by himself and with the men. So, with the tone voice. So, shout out to him. Here we are, VP. How you feeling today, man?
Man, I'm hanging in there, man. I'm doing good. I didn't realize that was like a guy's trip. I thought it was like a family thing, but I guess they just did the family thing, so that makes sense.
You and me both, brother. When I only saw the fellas, I said, "Oh, interesting, interesting." Shout out to him though, getting a little R&R time, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Don't do
Everybody
nothing
need it,
anyway.
man.
He don't do nothing.
Everybody needs it. Like
Yeah,
we're supposed to finally go back. You know, we like cruising.
cruising.
We're supposed to finally go on a cruise this year.
Mm,
In September. I can't wait, man, because we haven't gone since 2019. And I've been like cabin fever like crazy, man, because for me, with me being handicapped, I don't really go out a lot,
mm,
so like I really really look forward to doing that cruise. And I don't even do much on the cruise because I just can't do much.
right.
But like just to be away eating different food, different experience, you know what I mean? Like get to hit the
Absolutely.
casino up on the ship and going, they tried, I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise before, but they try to kind of make it like Vegas almost, where they got the cabaret shows and karaoke and all, like, so we go to all that stuff, the games, sometimes you just chill by the pool, people watch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like something that just kind of it recharges my batteries, even though I don't really do much, you know what I mean? So
It's
I
getting
can't
away.
wait to do that shit this year.
It's getting away. Yeah,
Hmm.
I went on a cruise one or two times, but you know, the all of the free libations they give you, kind of hard for me to stay in the pocket on that one.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a blur, but
yeah.
yeah, that's dope, man. Definitely need to get away and get back on there, man. I've become a part of the unmasked, the undead, I should say, the unmasked. And sometimes, man, it just happens because I forget, you
Yeah.
know, because I need to order a new box of disposable joints. But
Hmm.
it's a weird dynamic, man. Just seeing how sometimes people wear it, some people don't.
Hmm.
It's just a weird dynamic in a scheme of getting back to normalcy. So
Yeah. Like
accountability.
I still wear mine, and I think it's because I follow the news a lot, and like even now, like there's a little bit of a COVID resurgence right now. Like here in
Absolutely.
Florida, in the last 2 weeks, we've had over 100,000 cases. And it seems like COVID is kind of like in on the back burner in media, but
Yep.
there's a new variant out there right now. I don't know if it's in the U.S. I mean, it might be in the U.S. It might just not be, like dominant at this point, like those other variants like Omicron and Delta, etc. So it makes me always, want to wear my mask the times that I do go out. We went out last week. For my son's birthday, he wanted to go to Top Golf, and we were at Top Golf, and we got there first, obviously, and so we're just chilling. And I'm not sure if you got Top Golf in up there.
Yeah, and they're
Okay,
building a new one actually
okay,
in
so you know
Baltimore,
how
which
like
is gonna be
you get out there,
nuts.
you're basically you're indoors, but you're essentially outdoors.
Hmm.
And so we were there first, and so I didn't have my mask on. And then when people started showing up, you just, hey, what's up? Da 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 da. You just start chopping it up and don't realize. And I didn't realize I didn't have my mask on until we were leaving. And I had been there the whole time without my mask, you know. But that's like not normal for me because I usually always have my mask on when I'm around people,
Yeah,
especially if I'm indoors, you know what I mean? So it's like you try to get back to normalcy and then you watch the news like, maybe not just yet. You know?
I tell you what, people will remind you, man, because it's allergy season, and all of me and my kids had, well, one of my kids and me have, severe allergies, and it's
Hmm.
like a little bit of coughing, people like,
Yeah.
so we went out to eat yesterday, and it was just like, damn, they coughing, this shit just looks crazy. And it's weird, man, how just looking at old videos of concerts and people, around each other, just it's just weird where we are right now and how
Hmm.
things are. And I don't know how we'll ever get back there. I don't know if we ever will get back there, but yeah, that
Man.
return to normalcy is crazy.
Yeah. My homegirl from work, her son, he had a classmate. It was a close contact, so he had to go home, for the 5 days. So he's been home since, I think, I want to say Wednesday of last week, but the school told her the weekend counts as well.
Mm,
He's vaccinated. They just approved the booster because he's only like 7. So
mhm,
they just approved the boosters for the little kids. So she done got him vaccinated, got him boosted. And what's crazy is like she's a person who took COVID like very seriously. Like she don't go and see her parents. They don't go out like that. They had his birthday was last week as well. They had a party for him finally after 2 years of nothing, just like at
mm,
home, just them. But they did it at a park, so that way it was like open, stuff like that. And so I thought when she told me like, yo, I had to go get him from school, he had a close contact, et cetera, et cetera. I thought she'd be freaking out, man. She just seems like super chill. And I think it's just like I think it's kind of like, we've been dealing with this shit for so long that, it's kind of, I don't want to say people aren't taking it seriously, but it's kind of like, so and so got COVID. Oh, like damn,
yeah,
oh, they good.
yeah,
And then you
yeah,
just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like before, it's like so and so got COVID. You're like, oh shit. Let me text him. I don't know, man. Let me hit him up just in case you never.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. It's real, man. Getting back to
hmm.
that normalcy, man. Uh, yeah. And we went out yesterday, switching gears a little bit. We went out yesterday, and I've been in Maryland for 13 or maybe 14 years, and I just learned how to eat crabs. Phenomenal experience once you learn. And it's just funny how it's random, man. Them things are ugly when you really look at them.
Yeah,
Them
they
shits
are.
are super ugly. And it's just like, I always wonder, man, who are those people that say they don't eat pork because of what pigs eat, but then eat crabs? Like every time I crack them open, I'm like, man, this thing was at the bottom of the ocean, probably eating on some dead mafia snitches.
Hmm.
It's just randomly weird, man. But
Yeah,
I just learned how to eat crabs, so shout out to me.
man. Yeah. Hey, them shits are delicious, man. I man, that was like, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily like a Miami thing, but I think it's just like, like you're in Maryland, you're near the water. Miami, obviously, near the water. So that was just something we had like all the time. It wasn't one of those things where like, you only had it on the holidays or something. And my family, sometimes we used to like cook our own, like go to the store, like buy a bunch, cook them. But most of the time we used to go to we have this spot. I think it's a chain place. I don't think it's like a one stop only kind of joint. But this
Hmm.
place called Captain Crabs.
Mm,
And I mean, you just had crabs, but they're not very filling, you know what I mean? So you got to
right,
eat like a ton of them shits to get full.
right.
And so we would go, and my mom and them would get like 4 or 5 buckets of like jumbo buckets of crabs and shit.
Hmm.
And then on the way home, because once you do it, you know how to get this shit done. So you go to the store, grab a newspaper, like hopefully
Hmm.
it's a Sunday paper, so it's thick, so you like lay that out kind of to for the mess,
Yep, yep.
and then you
Maryland's a
just go
whole
to town,
science.
man.
It's a whole science here, man. Everywhere
Yeah.
you go, they sell the big. They got the big rolls of brown paper.
Hmm.
They lay it down, and it's crazy, man. I mean, for years, I wouldn't eat it unless somebody, broken down for me. But
Yeah.
I recently learned. I'm like, man, I'm a pro at this. Let's go.
Yeah.
So,
You ever we got this spot here called Hot and Juicy. It's like a crab broil kind of place,
hey,
man.
yo,
Woo.
It sounds like a strip club.
Right. You know what I mean? They got one called Hot and Juicy, and then they got another one that's like the knockoff Hot and Juicy. It's called Spicy and Juicy. I'm like they didn't even try with that one, yo. Like,
Hey, yo, I
like
ain't mad at him, man. I ain't mad at him. No, you know what? I don't know any spots down there. You know why? Because every time I come down there for the draft or something, I'm left in Steve's house by myself. By myself. This
damn.
dude would be like, yeah, yeah, come down, make this whole big ass thing. And then somehow when I come down there, he's gotta go to work. He goes to work. Goes to work. I get left in the house. Oh,
Damn.
thank God, Nick last time was like, yeah, I can take you out and everything with the baby. I was like, nah, no, 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 I'm good. Not with the baby. I love the kids, but nope, I can't here to get drunk.
Right.
So I wound up going somewhere by myself. This
Yeah.
this guy, man. We
Yeah,
are
man.
approaching fantasy draft season, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see this
Yeah.
year because I got a dog now. I gotta count for. So
You ever had well, I mean, I'm assuming you haven't if you're just now having crabs, but crawfish?
yeah, 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 yeah. I've had it. I've
Man,
had it all.
I've had those. Like, I couldn't do it because like a dude I was in the military with, like he was from New Orleans, and
Hmm.
so we went over to his crib. They did a big, crawfish broil or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm like, "How do you eat these things?" Like, "Oh, you eat the head and you eat." I'm like, "Eat the head?" Like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
Nah, dog.
No, that's
Nope.
yeah. That got to come ready for me too. They have to have taken that out already, and yeah, that's the last time actually I was in New Orleans was the time. Was the first time I had those,
Mm.
and I've been eating gator probably prior to going to New Orleans,
I've
but
only had that once.
yeah, I mean, it just tastes like sausage
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah.
Same flavor profile.
Yeah.
But I miss New Orleans. I got to go back there one day, but not now. I mean, Steve went, I think, in a fairly decent time because this is a little prior to hurricane season. So,
Yeah.
hurricane season, they getting hit. Hopefully not
And it's after
hard.
Mardi Gras, so I mean, he's COVID conscious, so you kind of probably not getting as much of the crowd,
Right,
and then also before the storms, so it's kind of like right in that pocket of the perfect time,
right, right. Absolutely, absolutely, man. Let's get into it, man.
Yeah, man.
You're man. You know what? Let's start here. It is May, and it is graduation season. Shout out to all the 2022 graduates from every level, high school to college to masters and doctorates and all of that good stuff. Shout out to you guys.
That's right. Shout
Um,
out to Senior E's son as well, who's graduating this year.
graduates high school.
Yep,
You
I got
know,
a and I also have a cousin and a niece who are also graduating this year. So shout out to those folks, man.
indeed, indeed, and it's also prom season. And man, I could tell you, I've been looking on IG. I've been looking around, and I don't remember girls dressing like that for prom when I went to prom.
No,
Some of
no,
this stuff is I don't know, man.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm seeing, it's these grown women dresses on these kids, on these babies, man.
yeah,
I don't know. What I don't know. I don't like it.
yeah. I had a personal experience with that, man. My cousin's daughter, um, the one I just shouted out here, she's graduating, going to prom this year. And I looked on IG and I'm like, whoa. Well, I'm actually let me back up. My wife first pointed out to me, like, yo, you see her dress? And I'm like, no, she was like, oh, yeah, you should take a look. And I was like, oh, I'll take a look later. And then I go on IG and that's when I see it. And I'm like, nah, dog, this is too much. Like she's wearing one of those dresses where it's um like a full body thing or whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then it has like the slit on the side,
Mhm.
but it doesn't come up to like the thigh. It comes up to like almost her hip,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then my cousin on IG on her story, she posted like a few pictures, and then she posted a video because they set up like a red carpet kind of thing for her to like walk out. and she's walking down the red carpet, and like every time she takes a step, she has to like pull the dress because it's about to show everything. And I'm like, that's the sign
It's
that
too much.
it's too much.
It's too much. I saw one joint, man, of somebody I know and their daughter, and the cleavage was out to the point, like you said, every time they moving, people rushing into the frame of the picture trying to cover the joint. I'm like, yo, what is going on?
Yeah,
I don't remember. I don't remember it like that.
nah,
I do not remember it like that, man. And
not
and
at
you
all.
know, I ain't feeling it. I wasn't
Nah,
happy. I was like, whoa. And I'm like, please don't post this stuff. Like, I
yeah,
don't want to see it, you
and
know?
and I don't have a problem with. I mean, I get it. Like I understand. Times have changed, but I don't feel like they've changed that much.
Mm-mm.
Like this ain't like going from the 1920s when women were wearing like pants on the
The
beach,
flapper
and then
dresses and right, pants on the beach and yeah.
and then they moved up to like to swimsuits. Like I don't feel like I'm being that old school. But
No.
to see 17-year-old girls with all of their business essentially out there, I think that's like a little bit too much, man. And that dress that she wore, I feel like it would have been fine, but instead of having the cut go all the way up to like almost her damn hip, maybe it goes like mid thigh, you
Right.
know, like I mean, like you said with the cleavage, like you got everything just hanging out there or whatever. Like that's just like you can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's too much.
I just yeah. Yeah. I feel yeah, I'm with you. I don't feel like, we're that old. It's like at what point I get it, they can look beautiful with something regular,
Yeah,
age appropriate, I mean, I feel like what point, and we always talk about this in the parenting world, what point is too much?
yeah,
You know what I mean? At what point do you say no? At what point do you say this is not age appropriate? I just what point does that happen anymore?
right. I
You
mean,
know?
that you're definitely right, man. At some point, you got to tell them. You got it's what do we always like? You have to protect them from themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't let them discover the stove is hot. You prevent them from ever reaching it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
feel like it's kind of the same thing with this. Oh, you hey, I get, you want to, feel sexy, whatever. And I get times have changed, but that's a little bit too much. That's a little bit too revealing. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
And
you know,
at what point in time is this parents living through them or something? Like I'm just like
mhm,
I don't see how, if you gotta keep running in and rushing into the frame to pull the girl's dress over her cleavage. I don't see where that makes sense in your mind that this is the best thing. I don't get it.
yeah,
I don't see the point. Like if that's something you and your homegirls would wear, I don't get it. What's the difference now?
right,
What's the
right.
difference? But
I hear you, man. I definitely hear you. I mean, and I know, I know it's probably easy. Like, there might be women in the audience listening who's like, these are two dudes. Like, what do you do for prom? You just throw on the tux. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, and
yeah,
I get that. Like, you know what I mean? But still, man, it's just that's too much, man. That is too much.
yeah.
That is
I
too much.
I just I don't know where our generation, where we've gotten to the point where we got to do so much so drastically different than our parents.
Yeah,
I just don't like. We've gotten here. A lot of us has got here off that same level of parenting. I get not trying to be so much like them, but at some point, we can keep some of the old and do something a little different. And it just, again, like if your kid has on something that you might wear, you know what I mean, as a grown person, I just don't get it. I don't
yeah,
get the logic, man. And again, if you got to keep adjusting the cleavage every 5 minutes, then you probably shouldn't be wearing it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And kind of to on this same topic, just at a different angle, man. Like somebody at work was talking about their kid going to prom, and she was like, the prom dress for the kid was like $600, and I was like, the fuck, like, like, is that inflation, or is it like? I mean, I got a son, so I'm not super worried about it. But at the same, I'm like, yo, I don't remember girls spending that kind of money on prom dresses when I went to prom.
Right. I've only
So
seen or remotely remember stuff like that around Sweet 16 stuff. And even that is ridiculous.
yeah,
That's just ridiculous. You spending all of that for one night of wearing it. And then
yeah,
and 9 times out of 10, they ain't never gonna be able to get back in that.
mm-hmm.
They're never gonna be the same. So you didn't spend $600 for something they only gonna wear once.
Yeah. And this kid that I'm talking about is only a sophomore. So
Oh
she
hell
just
no.
she got invited to prom.
Oh hell no.
So so who knows? I mean, she might go again next year, and then obviously for her senior year,
The year after, 2 more years from now. You spent 600 this year. You're looking at 12 next. 2 years
yeah,
from now.
yeah,
No, that's ridiculous.
mm-hmm.
We gotta do better.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. But yeah, they definitely are overdressing, and by overdressing I mean underdressing these kids.
right. And we seen the
And
crazy prom pictures and stuff people were doing, the guns and the foolery. Like, what the hell are we doing?
yeah, it's too
What
much,
the
man.
hell are we doing?
Yo, and while we're on this, man, kind of same topic, just different side of it. How do you feel about the quote unquote controversy of with Bronny's prom pictures?
The only controversy about it is coming from the seemingly the cookout community, because Bronny has a Caucasian date.
Mm-hmm.
Because other than that, I mean, he was dressed appropriately. I saw some people saying her dress was like a wedding dress, but okay, yeah, she was dressed appropriately. Not too much, not too little, and
I'll say
that
he was dressed mostly appropriately.
you didn't like her dress.
No, I said I would say Bronny was dressed mostly appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, he looked
I
straight.
didn't care for the fact that he wasn't wearing socks. I don't know how that
That's
became
the
a thing.
loafer. That's the loafer look, man.
I don't know
That's
how that
the
became a
loafer
thing.
look.
I don't like it. I don't accept it.
That's the loafer look, man.
I feel like you're not getting me.
That's the Hugh
I'm
Hef
gonna
style.
hold it down for the socks wearing community.
That's the Hugh Hef style, man. That's the loaf, man. The Miami Vice loaf look. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at that, but yeah, I mean, there was nothing to see there, man. The typical. He's already getting slayed with the typical athlete bashing. Oh, why you gotta go with a white girl? He probably goes to school with a majority white community. Happens by proximity. He ain't hurting nobody, man.
Exactly. And I said that same thing when my wife talked about it, and me and you brought this up when we talked about the fact that soon to be Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, or Kamala Harris, like being married to white men, and some of that is just proximity. You know what I mean? This dude lives in Brentwood, out in California, which was the neighborhood that OJ lived in back when but I'm pretty sure the majority of that community is white. I'm pretty sure whatever private school he goes to, the majority of that school is white. And so the majority of his options of people that he may choose to try to date. Well, I'm not saying there aren't any black girls that go there at all. You know what I mean? But it's slim pickings, basically. You know what I mean?
More than likely.
So it's not surprising that he's dating a white chick.
As far as we know, he just went to the prom with him. We don't know. This is his lady, and
that's a good point.
We don't know none of that. He could
that's a very
could just be the homies,
right?
He
could be single and like, I ain't going solo, so let me ask Bridget.
Yeah, Bridget.
And then
it's nasty.
She probably like, shit, Bronny, hell yeah.
Yeah, shit. Knowing she probably some movie producer's kid.
She probably had a date like, hey, Brad, I can't do it.
She looked like she looked like she been there before. She didn't, you know what I mean? She wasn't star studded at all. She was posing for the
Right.
camera. She looked like she been there before, but we know what
And
that
that
controversy
kind of
is.
goes to the point that we're both making, right? Like you look at where he lives, where he goes to school. It was one of the things. It kind of reminds me of like the point you're making about how she don't look starstruck or anything like that. It kind of reminds me of the point of when the Obamas came to DC and they sent their kids to that private school,
Hmm.
and people were like, "Oh, he talks about public education, whoop whoop whoop," and then he's sending his kid to this school, and people were saying, "Well, that particular school, like they have like a lot of like elite people's children who go there. You know what I mean? Senators, politicians, other politicians, ambassadors who are in the DC area sending their kids there. So even like this school is equipped to handle like high profile children,
Security, yeah,
and then the children are used to being around other like high profile children, so it's not going to be like a huge, it'll probably be a bigger adjustment for Obama's kids going to that school
yeah,
versus the other kids when the Obama kids arrive, because this was something like brand new to them, you know what I mean?
yeah,
and
for
um
sure.
and so that's probably what's happening with this girl that Bronny was with. Like, her she's like you said, she could be some movie producer, some hedge fund manager or some shit like that kid,
Hmm.
and she's used to being around people on that level. So like the lights, the cameras, the expensive cars, all like that's nothing to her. That's Tuesday. you know
That's a Tuesday, yeah, and yeah, I mean, people are ridiculous, and we knew what that was about with Obama. We knew that what side that came from and where that stemmed
right.
from. But I mean, security wise, man, with you yahoos out here, we couldn't have, the first family going to Southeast public school. We couldn't do that. You
Right.
know what I mean? But it'd have been pandemonium.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Bronny, and like we always kind of give LeBron his props, man. I think LeBron will have him well prepared one way or the other. But unfortunately for Bronny, he's getting that athlete treatment.
Right.
It's just that thing. Athletes always get killed for dating outside of their ethnicity and their
Mm-hmm.
culture, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, but it is what it is, man. We we
Right.
we do know he was raised by a strong black woman, continues to be. Pop's been with his lady since high school, so I
Mm-hmm.
mean, hey, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
you
At the
know,
end of the day, man, if it's his girlfriend, if it's not, you like who you like. You know what I mean? And so, for me personally, black man and all, I don't care if he's dating a black woman, white woman, Asian, if he likes the person, she likes him, like who gives a fuck? You
Yeah,
know?
that's my thing. That's my thing. I always say like who you like.
Right.
Just like who you like, and it shouldn't matter. I couldn't care less. I mean, we we crack jokes about it, especially me and Steve. But it is what it is.
Right.
Shout out to Brownie, man. I love the loafs. The loafs was good. It looked good. It had the high
They were
water
nice.
ankles.
It's just
The loafs, man. He killed
socks,
it.
man.
He killed it. He killed it. I,
Socks,
I
man.
I like that kid. I don't even know
You
nothing
know?
about him, but I like that kid.
I feel like Atlas, like I got the socks wearing community on my back. I gotta hold it down for us.
I listen. I've been out of that community, man. Listen, I'm in. Listen, we went weather-wise. We went from 60 something to 97 in a
Yeah.
matter of days. So I ain't wearing no socks, dog.
Yeah. You know what it is though, real talk. Man, my feet sweat. So if I go out with wearing some shit with no socks, that might be the first and last time I wear those shoes, because them
Hey,
shit's gonna be stank.
got to put the powder in them, man, and air them out. Leave them outside. You ain't. Nah, I feel you on that one, though. Definitely feel you on that one. Speaking of basketball, NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, Phoenix. Our pick Phoenix got eliminated.
Yep.
Who else got eliminated?
That shit was disgusting. Because that just wasn't. To get, you always hear, when the analysts, the pregame, ESPN, you know, what are the two best words in the playoffs? Game 7. You know,
Mhm.
and so players talk about how, you know, like crucial. Obviously, a game 7 is crucial, but people, it has like this kind of, it almost seems
Aura.
mythical. This
Yeah.
aura it. You know what I mean? And to just get blown out, man,
Thumped at
in
home.
games at home. And it's not like it's game 7 and you were like the 4 seed playing like a 7 seed or something. You know, you're the number 1 seed, home court advantage, and you get blown out. That is insane, man.
And
Insane.
and the crazy part is, like I said, I've watched this Mavericks team all year struggle with defense,
Mm-hmm.
play horribly, play down to the competition, if you want to say, depending on who they're playing. And they go to Arizona, they go to Phoenix, and they dust these dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, they killing them. Luca has more points than the entire team at one point. And
Yeah.
we got to talk about this, man, because I know me and Steve has said this consistently. I don't know that you've been on this side, but Chris Paul has been getting this top 5 point guard conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? He consistently hasn't won anything. I mean, this playoff game, I mean, if anything, you cannot be in the top 5 after a performance like that.
Yeah.
And we know it's a team sport, but combined, him and another all-star didn't give you more than 20-something points.
Yeah. I think part of it, man, is like these media narratives kind of get made up on who's a star, who's not a star, you know, and I kind of saw this like with the Heat Celtics, right? Like watching, like even before game 1, they were talking about this and they were saying how, oh, you know, this is going to be Boston's year. Miami can't beat this team. You know, Jason Tatum, it's time for him to arrive. This guy's a star. You know, he's been to 3 Eastern Conference Finals. It's time for him to take that next step. You know, woo, 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 woo. And then out of all the talking heads, that dude Nick Wright came on and was like, I hear everything you're saying. He was like, we were gonna go in blind. They put up a picture of Jason Tatum with all his stats, and then they put up a player, and it was a blank space, but just with his stats. And this person is leading Jason Tatum in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. And then they were like, "Who's that person?" And then the camera it flashes on the screen. It's Jimmy Butler from this
Yeah.
playoffs, you know. And he was like, "And I know you guys are saying Tatum's been to 3 Eastern Conference Finals. Jimmy Butler's been to the finals. Like,
Right.
you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, but these media narratives get set in to say this person's a star, this person isn't, and because this person's a star, we got to discount all these other things that they've done or haven't done, and the bad shit doesn't count because this person's a star. And that's kind of what's happening with with CP3, is that, you know, he's a star point guard, and okay, yeah, you know, even though he don't show up in the playoffs, he's a star. And then you juxtapose that with like the treatment that Harden's getting, right? Oh, he only shows up in the regular season. Playoffs, he disappears, you know, whoop, whoop, whoop. But the difference between a Harden and a Paul is that Harden keeps forcing his way out of situations. It seems like he's not a good teammate, et cetera, et cetera. So you're fine with throwing that slander at Harden, but you don't got no smoke for CP3.
Yeah, and I even saw Michael Wilbon, go as far as saying Devin Booker is a future Hall of Famer. How?
Yeah.
How? How is he a future Hall of Famer? We've seen far too many times, and God forbid this doesn't happen to him. But the Grant Hills, guys like Grant Hill with all the talent in the world, great college career, great NBA, future, get
Mm-hmm.
hurt and never be the same.
Yeah.
We just don't know. And CP3, man, has been one of my favorite players going back to high school, but you just gotta call it what it is, man. He's just fallen short in times where he's needed most. He's disappeared. I mean, I felt the same way for a long time about Melo. Outside of those Denver days, when he was in New York, when it was time for him to show up, he wound up scoring a lot, but he wasn't efficient, which
Right.
then makes you lose because you're missing a lot of shots and you're
Right.
taking a lot of shots. I think he's become more efficient now in his older age, but yeah, it's just the NBA, man. It's just one of those things. It's just weird to
Mm-hmm.
me how these superstars and the star level stuff that what happened from Phoenix. I mean, that they've got to be disgusted.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, you have Aiton on the team where they're talking about what he's gonna do if he's gonna be a max guy. You know, they're talking about the Knicks trying to pursue him and all of this. All of these guys' stock just plummeted.
Mm-hmm.
Had to. You
Yeah.
got to be looking at that team like this is nasty. And this
Yeah.
is a Dallas team. Again, I've seen them lose to the Knicks, I think, twice this year. You know, and I believe, of course, I'm a homer. I believe my team is much better than what it performed to be,
Right.
which I think they are. Went from 4th seed in the playoffs last year to not making it this year and going on a run to almost making it. Um, but I seen them play this Mavericks team, beat them, and this is the same people that just washed the Phoenix Suns at
Yeah.
home. How do you get scraped like that at home?
Yeah. I mean, it's I mean, shit. We got blown out in game 2 at home. But we're playing against a 2 seed with a team. I told people, this this Boston team actually scared me a little bit more than Milwaukee. And
Mhm.
the reason is because I feel like we're the same team. We shoot the three, we play hard defense, and I feel like it's basically like it's almost like that that Spider-Man gif of like with
Yeah,
Spider-Man
all the
pointing at
different
himself.
Spider-Mans. Yeah.
Like I kind of feel like it's that, with us playing Boston, but for Dallas Phoenix, man, to play against a team. And it's not like, I mean, I don't think like Dallas is necessarily like some scrubs, you know what I mean? But you're the number 1 seed, you get blown out at home by a team that has one guy, right? And you know, it's just I don't see how that happens. And it's the same way with the Warriors. Like I don't see how they got blown out by
Memphis, that
that
one game.
Memphis team.
Yeah.
That one. I mean, they still won the series, but that shit was just to get killed at that level. It's if it was a regular season game and you lose by 40, it's like, that kind of shit happens. But in the playoffs where you're supposed to be elevating your play, you got a guy who on first not first take on the show with Chris Broussard, they do this thing where they be talking about like who's in club superstar, and then they got like these guys who are like at the door like waiting to get in. That's what they have like picture of Tatum and Butler and John Morant, and the guys who they got in club superstar already are guys like CP3, Embiid, Harden, Devin Booker. They're saying, oh, these guys are already in. They're in the VIP section already. And then you get washed in a playoff game 7. Like that shit is just insane to me, man.
It's
And then
inexcusable.
to your point where you're talking about whether or not they're saying, should Aiden get a max, etc. At this point, they might be needing to think like, do we need to do something with this team? Do we
Yeah.
need to move CP3 and bring in another guy because he can't close? It
He
seems like
can't.
somebody made the point. I was watching one of those sports shows and they talked about how I think it was in game 3. Might have been, it was the game that the night when the thing happened with CP3's family with the
Okay.
fan.
Mhm.
That was the same game that it
Might have
was
been
his
like
birthday.
2. Might have been like
Okay.
2 or 3.
Yeah. So like game 2 or 3 that night when it was his birthday or whatever. And they were like, it's almost like you watched him turn 37 because it seems like he was playing good and then he turned 37
Right.
and then he
It,
looked like an, you know.
it's crazy because I remember at one point I was arguing with my homeboy about, he was saying we gotta pursue CP3, we gotta get him to the Knicks. He's
Mhm.
gonna take us to the level, he's gonna get us to the playoffs. And I was like, nah, I don't think we need to blow up this team for an aging guy. And I didn't even factor in the failures and the missed and all of the missed playoffs and the first round exits, second round exits, whatever. In just looking at this Phoenix meltdown, or I don't know what you call it, it just makes me feel even more vindicated because it's just like I don't know what it is. And I mean,
Yeah.
this dude absolutely disappeared. It's
Yeah.
one thing to say the rest of the team didn't do anything. CP3 had 40, like Giannis. Giannis went out there in a losing effort and put up numbers. He
Yeah.
tried. CP3 gave you nothing.
Mhm.
And they allowed Spencer Dinwiddie and Luka to kill him. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying Spencer Dinwiddie can't get it done. Obviously he did, but you're the number 1 seed, the best team all year. You should have this desire to get back after you just were right there last year, and you don't. You get maxed out, and
Yeah.
it's no excuse for that, man. It's nasty, man.
And sometimes also, man, like, you need a little bit of kind of like a looking in the mirror kind of moment, and that kind of happened for us. I saw on one of the Miami Herald reporters that I follow on Twitter, and he was saying they had a player meeting with the Heat, and Tyler Hero spoke up and was like, yo, like, Jimmy's doing everything he can do. Like, we got to help this dude. Like, like, we're not going to get there if we don't give this dude some support. We all got to be better, And then they were like, Bam spoke up and was like, yo, I got to do more. I can't, the first fucking 2 games, game 1, game 2, Bam's averaging 8 points. This is a guy we're paying $24 million a year for 8 points in the Eastern Conference Finals, like, And then you watch that game last night, and you see Bam being aggressive. Put the ball in my hand. I'm going to the hole. I'm taking the jump shot, taking the floater. And let's do the pick and roll. I'm shooting to the basket just for the quick score. And last night he puts up 31. Butler gets hurt and at the half or whatever, doesn't play the second half. And they go away from Bam, and the next thing you know, you see the Celtics started coming back.
Yeah.
In the fourth, they start going to Bam again.
That was a hell of a run they had in the fourth against y'all. Jeez.
Yeah, but part of that, a lot of times we come on the pod and I listen to Steve like talk about the refs, and I'm like, I mean, I get it. We all acknowledge the refs are trash, right?
Well, he only does that in football when it's about the Cowboys,
right?
I'm the one that kills the NBA refs,
right? I try to think like the refs are doing the best they can. These are a lot of times old men. The game is moving fast. You're not gonna get every single call. But last night, man, it was ridiculous. The shit they were calling. I'm watching Jaylen Brown drive to the hole, push off with his left hand to create space, and then take a shot. Okay, that should be a foul. It's the playoffs. I don't have a problem with it. If you're gonna say it's the playoffs, we're gonna let them do a little bit more. I don't have a problem with that. But that shit got to be happening on both sides of the ball. You know what I mean? And then when Vincent went to the other side and did that, they hit him for an offensive foul. You get to the fourth quarter, EJ. It's the fourth quarter with less than 5 minutes to go. The Heat had attempted 5 free throws in the entire game. 5. At that point, at that same point in the game, Boston had already attempted 24 free throws and missed 7. That means that they missed more free throws than we even attempted. And usually when that happens, people will say, well, that team's being more aggressive, And I'm like, well, I mean, we've been leading the whole game. I don't understand how you can say that we're not being aggressive. We're playing in the paint. All like it seems like we're just not getting calls.
I've been saying it all year, though. I've been saying it all year. When the Knicks play Philly, and Embiid is at the line 20-something times, and we've only got 5 or 6 at the time. I will say though, for this series, I feel like y'all have been getting away with a lot. Y'all been way more physical, beating them dudes up. But yeah, that disparity is a little crazy. But I gotta give it to the Heat, man, and the coaching and the way this team was built. The defense has been like this all year. They choke people on the perimeter, and it's just it's crazy to watch. It's literally crazy to watch how lost Boston looks when they're playing Miami. So I mean, hey, this is I don't know, man. I kind of feel like if any year y'all gonna get it, this possibly could be the year.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, man. I feel like out of everybody, that the 4 teams that are left, I feel like we can beat any of those 4 teams. Obviously, we got to get through Boston to try to get to the finals. I feel like we could beat Dallas without a problem. I think we would have to go the distance to beat that Warriors team. I don't think it can get done like in a short series. I think it would have for us to win. I think we'd have to go 7.
Absolutely.
But But this Boston team, man, they got some dogs, and what I like about them, it's bad for us, but what I like about them is like for them, like they got a Marcus Smart for their team. It's like PJ Tucker is for our team, and it's crazy like the way I feel about PJ Tucker. I mean, he's on my team, so I'm with him. You know what I mean? But like I heard Jeff Van Gundy say this in one of the games, and he called PJ Tucker. He said PJ Tucker is like a no, actually it wasn't Jeff Van Gundy. It was Skip Bayless, which I hate that guy. But he was like PJ Tucker is like a guts and glue guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when he's on the court, it's like he brings this energy. You know what I mean? And it's he plays with like the most enormous chip on his shoulder.
Yep. And not to mention he won the ring. He's got a ring now,
Yeah.
so he's bringing that championship experience. And I like Jimmy Butler, man. I mean, this is
I do too.
when I knew Tom Thibodeau is a horrible coach. You had Jimmy Butler and you had Big Cat, and you couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep them together. Couldn't do anything. Pat Riley, man, has done a phenomenal job putting this organization where it needs to be. Spoelstra's there. I mean, you guys fucking cheated with LeBron, D Wade, and Bosh, but okay, where you go from there? And this guy's built something to say, okay, this is where we're gonna go. We went to the finals. Okay, now we're knocking on the door again. And like you said, out of the 4 teams, I think you guys can beat any of the other 3. I think you guys can beat any of them.
Yeah.
Golden State, it's Steph and all of that and everything they do. At times they look unbeatable, but I just think this Miami defense and the way they choke people on the perimeter is tailor made for any one of these teams. And Boston, I think they're gonna have to blow it up. I mean, again, opening game, they lose to the Knicks by 1. It's like you got these superstars, but if you're not playing team basketball, if your coach isn't coaching, things aren't gelling, it's not gonna happen. And in
Yeah.
the NBA, I think we always discount the level of coaching that matters, and we see it's like it's one of those things. It's like when a coach is on point and they do something well, all the praise is there. But when they lose, we don't really see it. We don't really see the criticism coming. And Spoelstra, I know Steve hates him, but Spoelstra got these guys as a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
They're doing everything they need to do.
And to your point earlier when you were talking about your man's saying like y'all needed to go after CP3, right? It reminds me of when James Harden wanted out of Houston. My cousin was like, "Yo, we need to get him. I want Harden." And I was like, "Harden doesn't fit in Miami. He doesn't fit what we do." And when you construct a team that way where you bring in guys who fit the way you want your team constructed, where okay, Jimmy Butler's going to be our star guy, but he's also a two-way player. He can play defense, play offense. You go out and get a guy
PJ
like
Tucker.
a Duncan Robinson, and then now the upgrade of Duncan Robinson and Max Strus, you're getting the 3-pointers and the defense. You get PJ Tucker, who's going to give you everything on the court on the defensive side, and then sit in the corner. You get your, he nailed a couple of 3-pointers every now and then, but he's going to play the defense, and then you get your Bam. Yeah, he's not a true center, but he can score, he can rebound, et cetera, et cetera. And you construct a team that way where everybody has a role to play, and then everybody does that role. And what you see with a lot of teams is they say, "Oh, this guy is available. Let's trade for him. Oh shit, so and so's available. Let's trade for him." And I feel like you can do that like in football, but in basketball, it needs to kind of be like you said, more of a well-oiled machine. Everybody, every piece does a certain thing, and then when they come together, it makes the whole machine work. And some
Yeah.
teams aren't constructed in that way, like a Phoenix.
You're not gonna like this, but the Heat are the Patriots of the NBA right now. Tell me I'm lying.
I mean, I see the point
Heat are
that
the
you're making.
Patriots
I
right
see the
now.
point you're making.
You see this guy Strauss come on the court. Fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
And then he's cooking. You know what I mean? They got the one guy. They got the Jimmy Butler. They got the who might be the high tower at the Patriots. Got Jimmy Butler, does what he does, nasty, talks his trash, does what he's, and these guys are winning.
Yeah.
These guys are winning. They don't have the talented 7-footer. They don't have the point guard. They don't have it. But here they are.
Yeah.
Here they are. So I hate it. I mean, deep down, I hate it. But I objectively have to give credit where it's due, and I think I hate to say it, man. It's looking like the Heat. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it because I don't want to be a total hater. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they pull it out, man. So
Yeah.
shout out
I
to you
always wonder
guys.
what's I always wonder what's going to happen to us once Riley retires, because he's been
Oh, it's
contemplating
done.
retirement
It's over.
for a while.
It's over. Forget about
And
it. Back
for
to
the
the basement. Y'all
last
go.
for the last, I would say, I think it's like 6 or 7 years, he stopped doing, like, multiple year contract extensions. Now his contract's just been year to year for
Yep.
like the last 6, 7 years, because he's been saying that he's ready to walk away, but he just hasn't done it yet. So
I
that
think if
worries
he
me.
gets this, I think if y'all get this one, I think he's done.
Yeah.
And back to the basement, y'all go. And I'm happy.
Yeah. The only thing that makes me think that he won't retire is that I read an article that talked about how he wanted to move out to California. He has this big, like, property out there. Like, he wants to build a compound where, like, kind of like how the Kennedys had their compound up in
Hmm.
Massachusetts. And whereas him and his wife got the main house, his kids live on the property in their own houses, whatever. And that was like the dream, but then he just wouldn't retire. Now his kids are grown, they got family, they done put down roots and wherever they live,
Hmm.
and so that's probably what's making him not go do that, because it's like, the thing I wanted ain't gonna really be possible now, because my family ain't gonna uproot their own lives to move
Hmm.
to Cali now. So the one
So
guy was saying that
you think he might go to LA?
no, not that's just where he wanted to retire, like to live,
Hmm.
not to work. He was like, once he retired from basketball, he was supposed to go there. He has a like, he's into cars, like classic cars. And in the article it said how there's like a car, like, where, like, storage place or whatever, and Riley's rented out all the spots, but they're all empty because he's never moved there. He pays the rent every month, and ain't no cars there. So the dude's probably like, "This is my best customer. Like, he don't cause no problems, and he always pays on time."
Right. Man, I think people forget how old this guy really is. Like, this
Yeah.
guy played for Rupp at Kentucky back when, Texas minor college beat
Hmm.
them in the finals. I might be saying that wrong, but back when guys they weren't black, there wasn't an all black starting five. He played against
Hmm.
that first squad.
Yep.
This is how old that guy is.
Yeah.
So, he listen, it's kind of like the Bill Belichick effect for me. Like, if he retires from y'all, I'm glad y'all going back to the shitter. Same thing with the Patriots, man. When Bill Belichick goes, they're going back to the shitter,
Yeah.
and I'm be happy. And it'll be time for New York sports to reemerge, man. But we need a new coach, man. Tom Thibodeau is just not it. We need a new
Yeah.
coach. And Knicks
Mark
fans,
Jackson. I
man.
keep saying it.
I mean, I've been saying it for years. I don't know that, with him being blackballed from the league, I don't know that Dolan would do that. And Knicks fans have been killing Mike Dolan for years. And like, oh, he does too much. This guy's hired people that he thought would do a good job.
Yeah.
You can't tell me, from a basketball standpoint, looking at Isaiah Thomas, one of the best point guards, one of the best basketball minds in history, you can't tell me that him hiring him was a bad idea on paper. Phil
Nah, it wasn't.
Jackson, same thing. One of the
I
best
think the
basketball
mistake with
minds.
Isaiah Thomas was giving him full control, making him the coach and the GM.
Well, again, it's not like it hasn't been done in history before.
Right. Right.
And it's just like, okay, he wasn't successful at that point in time, but the ownership had nothing to do with that.
Hmm.
But I think, it'll be a double-edged sword if you get somebody like a Mark Jackson, because the scrutiny will be enormous. He's a good coach. We know that. He had his time. I mean, the main reason the Warriors are the way they are till this day is because of him.
Hmm.
But I don't know that, Dolan will ever do the right thing. And this is the moment in time. If I'm Dolan and if I'm close to him, I'm saying, look, this is what you need to do this time. New York fans have been killing you forever. Pull this trigger. Shut him up. Because he's a guy that
Yeah.
listens to the fans. He's a guy that listens to the fans. We got a team. We got a very young team. All these trade rumors and discussions. Keep this team the way it is.
Yeah.
Because with the current coach we got, it don't matter who we get in there, he's not going to do the right thing. So you might as well keep the contracts the way they are. We got to figure out what we're going to do with Mitchell Robinson, who I love. But other than that, man, I don't know. Shout out to the Heat, though. You guys are doing your thing. Shout out to Pat Riley and Spo, Steve's favorite coach. Shout out to him. But moving from the playoffs, man, let's go to some politics, man. What's been going on in the political world, and more specifically, what's going on with Ukraine? Like, it just seems like the media has forgot there was a war going on.
Yeah, I mean they kind of have put it on the back burner, man. Like things are, I wouldn't say things are normalizing over there, but they're getting closer to normal than they were, right? You've had multiple countries have sent people over there to visit. The prime minister of the United Kingdom went over there, Boris Johnson. We've sent our Secretary of State and multiple congressional delegations. So world leaders are going into Ukraine to meet with the president. The Russians they still bomb the capital city like every now and then, but they mostly have been doing most of the fighting in the eastern part of Ukraine, in the area called like Donbass or something like that.
Basically close to Belarus.
No, Belarus is on the west side.
Oh,
They've
okay.
been doing it more on the side that's closer to Russia. But what a lot of people think is that they're going to try to annex that eastern side, and
Right.
then basically create a land bridge that goes from Russia all the way to Crimea, which is that area that they annexed back in 2014.
Right.
So that's been happening. The another thing that's gone on is that Finland and what was the other country? Finland and I can't think of the second country, but they both have asked to they've are gonna officially apply to NATO. They were
Yeah.
like looking at the shit with the Russians. They can't fuck around with it anymore, so they're gonna apply to NATO. Putin has said there's gonna be consequences if they do that, but we'll see what happens. We've sent them more aid. We sent them another aid package of, I think it was like $30 or $40 billion or something like that we sent over there. We continue to send the weapons and things like that. So yeah, I mean it's still going on. The Russians put out a list yesterday. They sanctioned almost 1,000 Americans. They sanctioned them, and they're not going to be able to come to Russia. It's not like any of them planning on going. The list just seems stupid. It's like a bunch of politicians, Biden, Kamala, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, all these like Democrats, some Republicans in the Congress, and
Trump
then
is good though.
yeah, he's good. But here's a name that was on the list that kind of came out of left field, and I'm like, I don't get that one.
Who is it?
Morgan Freeman. And in
He's
case you're
played
wondering,
president, bro.
in case
He's
you're
played
wondering,
president.
that Morgan Freeman, yeah,
He's played president and vice president too many times, bro. That's what that is. He's played
like,
president too many times, yo.
They sanctioned Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. Yo,
I was like, man, I don't get that one, but okay.
I'm telling you, he's been a good president, man. He's been a good president. So I guess, yeah, it makes sense. It makes total sense.
Oh my god, yeah.
Man, the other sad part, Brittany Griner still stuck over there.
They I saw something saying that how the US government has changed her status to like wrongfully imprisoned or something like that.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know if that changes like how
they're proposing a trade.
Yeah.
They're proposing
and it's what the Russians want. That's all they want. They will give you her if you give us this person, and then
arms dealer.
Yeah, like some spy or arms dealer or some shit like that,
Some movie. This is some real movie shit. We've seen this shit in the movies before.
Mm-hmm.
Some real movie shit. Yeah, man. We making a trade for her, man. That's kind of crazy, man. I wonder if at some point that buzz and that juice, because after a while it was looking good, right? And then the WNBA and media started, doing what the U.S. officials advised them not to do, which was make this a thing,
Mm-hmm.
not make her situation a thing. And then it seemed like when that happened, Putin was like, "Oh, couldn't hold
Exactly.
out, could you?"
Exactly. And I saw on Twitter, people were like, "Oh, I bet if this was Biden's son, whoop, whoop, whoop," all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, one, first of all, if it was Biden's son, it wouldn't have happened. Like countries like if Putin's daughter was over here, we're not going to arrest her. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so like we can't even throw that kind of hypothetical out there because it wouldn't have happened. But secondly, a lot of times, like you said, these countries like to handle things back channel. You know, we're gonna have the right people on our side, talk to the right people on their side. Some shit's gonna get done behind the scenes, and then one day you're gonna turn the TV on and you're gonna see a plane landing saying, "Oh, Brittany Griner's out,"
Right.
and
Right.
then you'll find out a week later, like, "Oh, it turns out, the secretary of some shit had been talking to this dude for a couple of weeks. They were meeting in Switzerland, and then they got the shit done." You
Yep.
know, but now the WNBA, the NBA, other celebrities, people have been just going ham, and now it shows the Russians like, oh, okay, this is a big deal to them. So
She is
now,
important now.
right? So now we got to ask for more. At
Mm-hmm.
first, we wanted like some sanctions relief, but now we want some sanction relief. We want that arms dealer, send over a couple of playboys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so, and it's one of those things where, like, I know, like, we do it, everybody does it, right? We're all playing armchair quarterback when it comes to things that are happening in the world, but there are people in the world who have real experience, they have real expertise in matters of state, of foreign policy, military policy, et cetera, and you have all of these armchair quarterbacks. So you got to do this. They should have done this. Woo, 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 woo. And sometimes you're making situations worse, which it seems like this may be the case with this Brittany Griner situation.
Yeah, because it negotiations and talks were looking promising until it seemed like things picked up and Silver had no choice to get involved, and now it's like, yeah, we want our arms dealer back.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
watch that space, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's sad. What else is going on though politically?
We
Florida,
talked.
what y'all got going on?
I mean, we talked about this last week, and it's crazy the speed at which this thing is moving. But you're starting to see states pass more restrictive abortion bans.
Mm,
Some states are starting to move on to ban contraception, which is exactly what I said was going to happen.
mm,
And the thing that's really, I think abortion bans are bad to begin with, right? But
absolutely.
at least some of them at first, back in the day, at least they would say, okay, we'll put exceptions in for like rape, incest, life of the mother, that kind of thing, like that.
Right.
Louisiana passed an abortion ban. It has no exceptions, not even life of the mother, no exceptions. you know in Oklahoma, they just passed a new abortion ban that it makes exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. But for rape and incest, you have to have a police report, right? Because we all know how as soon as somebody's raped, they just go straight to the police.
Yeah.
And we all know from just
So
you
easily.
see everything you see, how when like 12-year-old girls are raped by their dad or their uncle, they always call the cops.
Absolutely. So
You know what I
easy.
mean?
So
Like,
easily identified. It's the
you
easiest
know,
thing to do. It's just
this shit is crazy, man. It is insane. So we'll see what happens, man. It's gonna the thing that is troubling, like, to me, looking at the shit, is, I mean, it's multiple things that are troubling, but I guess this is one thing that's troubling. It's like, we now, once this decision comes down from Supreme Court, likely next month, we are going to be living in a country where the rights that you have are dependent upon your zip code.
well,
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
that's always been true This is just blatantly going to be more
Mm.
true.
So
That's always been present. Like
yeah.
you said last week, you know, the women of America will have the same rights as the women in Afghanistan,
Mm-hmm.
which is, yeah. I mean, America, man. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we
So
doing?
and then as far as other shit in politics, like this week was a big primary week for candidates. You had primaries in multiple states. Some very interesting things happened in Pennsylvania. The Democratic side was kind of not really much of a, most people knew what was going to happen except for this on the Senate side for the Democrat. John Fetterman won. He's the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. He's a very progressive Democrat. A lot of people thought that he wasn't going to win. Oh, this guy's not electable. Because he's not necessarily a Bernie type. He is. I would say he's more of a Biden type, but he's kind of like an in your face dude with it. He's not. He makes no secret that he cares about the little guy. He's not saying like, oh, we got to do something for the little guy. Wink, wink. Let me go talk to my donors. See if they're okay with that. Like, he's like, fuck those dudes. Like we got to get people jobs. We got to start making shit here. So, but he won. On the Republican side, the chick that I told you about last week, Kathy Barnett, she's like super fucking crazy. She lost, but she got like 100 and some thousand votes. So there's definitely a market for crazy. Obviously in the Republican Party, but right now they're going to be going to a recount because the race between a Dr. Oz, the TV doctor who actually doesn't live in Pennsylvania. I don't even see how the fuck that happened, but whatever. And then the second place candidate, I don't even know his name, but Dr. Oz is leading by like 1,200 votes, and so now they got to go into counting. Guess what? Mail-in ballots.
Mm.
I don't hear anybody talking shit about mail-in voting. All of a sudden, it's
Well, it's
like that's
Pennsylvania.
that's so 2020.
It's
Like
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has been on some shit these
yeah.
last few go rounds.
Mm-hmm.
They've
So
been on some shit.
so you had that happen. You had a black woman. I can't remember her name is Summer Lee, in one of the congressional districts in Pennsylvania. She's a Democrat. She's very progressive, and there was a ton of money put into that race to try to stop her from winning it, and she still won. Regardless, if she wins that race in November, she'll be the first black uh, um, congressional person from Pennsylvania. If she wins in November. So, watch that space. And then you had some other things that happen where it's like dodged a couple of bullets, in Idaho, the governor's race. You had the lieutenant governor challenged the sitting lieutenant governor was challenging the sitting governor. And the lieutenant governor, she lost. This is also the lieutenant governor. We talked about this on the pod when it happened, like a month or so ago. This lieutenant governor did a speech at a white supremacist event. Um, and she's crazy. Like she tried to take advantage of the law. Idaho has this law, because we still live by these laws that were passed 200 years ago when people didn't know that technology would exist at some point that advanced our civilization. So Idaho has this law in the books that when the governor is out of state, the lieutenant governor is vested with like the governor's powers, right?
Wow.
And so the governor went out of town for like a fundraiser or something. He was like in Louisiana. It's not like he was on the moon or some shit. You know what I mean? And the lieutenant governor went in and signed an executive order and got rid of all the COVID restrictions for the state. And then the governor came back and rescinded that. And then he went out of town again. And this is when the Republicans were doing all that performative theater shit, sending National Guard people to the Texas border.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the governor went out of town, she signed another order sending the National Guard to Texas. And then the governor had to come back and rescind that or whatever. So, and obviously
this makes you wonder, has this shit always been going on and we're just now having better access to it? Have these politicians, these folks been this crazy and we just now knowing?
I would say yes, but yes, there's probably been crazy shit like this not like this. There's been crazy shit happening, but we probably, I mean, maybe it would have been crazy for the time, you know. So maybe like looking at it in hindsight, it's like, oh, that wasn't that crazy, you know. Like these people are off the fucking walls, and then 30 years from now, you know, people will look back at this and it's like, oh, I mean, it wasn't that crazy, you know.
Shit.
Who knows? But
Hopefully,
you know, but
hopefully,
it does seem
hopefully
like these
they look
people.
at us. Hopefully, they look at us a lot more crazy 30
No,
years from
I
now.
definitely agree.
Hopefully,
But you
we.
know, it seems like these folks are definitely like a special kind of crazy, you know. So you know, we'll see what happens, man. North Carolina primary, they had a former North Carolina Supreme Court justice who ran on the Democrat side. She won for the Senate, not to be the Senate nominee. So if she wins in November, she'll be the first black senator from North
North
Carolina.
Carolina.
So yeah, he had a lot of stuff like that happening, but that's kind of been politics this week, in a nutshell.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
The terrorist that killed multiple people in Buffalo
Mm-hmm.
pled not guilty. Typical.
Yeah.
Uh, to be expected. You know, of course, he wasn't going to make a manifesto, stream it, and carry it out and take his punishment. No, of
Mm-hmm.
course not. Um,
No.
so this is going to be another thing that, you know, people, the families, the community at large, we're going to have to sit through this, the trial, the nonsense, the, you know, the followers that he may have, the people that may think like him
Mm-hmm.
rallying behind him. It's gonna be nasty, man. I did see somewhere that following this attack that some New York politician was calling for the reinstatement of the death penalty for New York,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like, okay, a lot of implications with that, but yeah, man, it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Politically, you know, I'm hoping that something can happen to to protect black folks at one point. We talked about this last week, but I just don't know, man. I just hope we don't have any. I don't know, because we've been talking about it. You know, the style of weapon is certainly a problem,
Mm-hmm.
but the ideology, the people behind this, the hate, the allowance of this going on is, you know, the guy was out here 30 minutes ahead of time saying he was going to do it. All the information that was out there,
Yeah.
just the treatment of him, everything. Something's got to give, man. Something's just
Yeah.
got to give.
And as far as the death penalty is concerned, yeah, New York doesn't have a death penalty, and even if they reinstated it, I don't think he would be eligible because it probably would be effective like whenever they pass it. Yeah, I don't
Right.
know if that's something you can make retroactive. You know,
Right.
but there is a federal death penalty for murder, for federal murder. Um, you know, and under the Trump administration, they actually the death penalty had been basically, I think under Clinton is when they, you know, essentially banned, not necessarily banned it, but you know, they kind
Made
of
it
stopped doing
inactive.
these. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then under Trump, they started doing it. I think they executed 8 people under Trump. So that's still in effect now. I don't know if the Biden folks have rescinded that or not. So he could still get the death penalty on the federal side. No federal charges have been been filed against him yet, but
Not
they're
yet.
coming. But it hasn't happened yet.
It gotta be coming.
Yeah.
Gotta be
So
coming.
and you know, it's likely I've heard things of people saying they might charge him with terrorism, with
Hate crime.
obviously murder, hate crimes, you know, things
Hmm.
like that. And that stuff would be eligible for death penalty. Whether or not he would get it, I don't know. But the other thing that it didn't surprise me, but you know, the speed at which this story disappeared from the news, you
Of
know,
course.
and 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 I think like that is part of the problem, is that you know, this thing happens, you know, we were shocked day one, you know, day two they kind of talk about the people a little bit, you know, and then you see, you know, Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, you see them on TV, and then the story just goes away, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm barely even seeing it on social media, you know, let alone like actual media, and it's like these things happen and then they go away and then we just wait for them to happen again, and then we get sad all over again, and the final thing I wanted to touch on this was the fact that you look at this guy, the guy from the South Carolina church, the
Dylan
guy
Roof.
from the Aurora movie theater,
Mm-hmm.
and on and on and on with these white folks who have murdered people, multiple people, who are taken into custody without incident. And you have black people, people of color, who are doing the most mundane shit, unarmed, are killed. I don't, I, nobody can make that make sense to me. You know what I mean? And we've talked insanely, about, not insanely, but we've talked a crazy amount of time about cops and training and all these kinds of things like that, and the fact that cops are able to take killers, armed killers, not somebody who killed somebody and then you did an investigation and then you followed the clues and 2 weeks later you arrested them. Active shooters, they take them into custody without incident, and people who were pulled over for the most mundane shit may not survive a traffic stop. I just nobody can
And
make it make sense.
we can't get the George Floyd bill passed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wonder too, and just holding our community accountable, because right after that, Freddie Gibbs, I don't know if you're familiar with him as a rapper, but Freddie Gibbs does a show in Buffalo and gets attacked and jumped uh, in Buffalo. And I mean, large part of that stems from him having comments about New York rappers and things of that nature. But, seemingly right after, man, our community, not only the media, but not our community, seemingly is just like, the wards and things and all of these other things are going on. And we're talking about, this celebrity, that celebrity. We, as a community, we're not even pushing the button. We're not even pushing our politicians. We're not even, and it just makes me wonder, where's our threshold? Like,
Yeah.
I look back to our ancestors, right? Our predecessors, right? Our parents and those before us. And, they didn't have no tolerance for this shit,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't get to see uh Emmett Till. We didn't get to see that happen live. You know, thousands of people wouldn't even have known that it happened if Emmett Till's mom hadn't had, the open casket funeral and
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
Right.
And we get to see this shit live and direct. We get to see the Sandra Bland's, the George Floyd's. We get to see this live and direct. And it's like, where are we pushing our threshold to where we're really tired of this shit?
Yeah.
To where nothing we talk about in our communal spaces should be anything different than this. If it ain't about moving us forward and protecting our lives together as one, regardless of orientation, regardless of religion, regardless of anything, where is our threshold? When are we really gonna be real tired?
Mm-hmm.
How desensitized are we that we can see this happen and just be like, yeah, one day, and then everything's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, we come on here weekly, and we again, armchair quarterback it. We say what we say, but I just feel like as a community, as a people, like, where are we gonna continue to allow our threshold to be?
Mm-hmm.
How much is gonna be enough for us?
Yeah. And here's what's wow, right? Will Smith slapping Chris Rock stayed in the news longer than the murder of 10 people, a racially motivated murder of 10 people. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that that's, we got to take blame for that, for not like making um um a big enough issue out of this kind of shit. But the media also has to have some accountability and look at themselves and say, why aren't we, you know talking about this more? Why
Mm,
aren't we pushing politicians, like to your point earlier about the George Floyd bill not passing? Why aren't we putting more pressure on politicians and stuff like that instead of just, staying neutral? Sometimes being neutral almost seems like you're in agreement,
it's doing
with the
nothing at
status
all.
quo.
Yeah, it's doing nothing at all. But I
Yeah.
mean, you talked about it before in the way the media operates. And again, I think and this is like I've said before, we can't allow our celebrities and these people that we believe should be change agents. We shouldn't put too much faith in them. And I think it's to the point now where, as black folks, we have our own media outlets and things of that nature that we should be able to depend on, but we can't. And it's like, people are afraid of the powers that be, and I get it, because when you start telling the truth, you start speaking a certain kind of way,
Hmm.
things do start to happen to you. But yeah, I'm with you, man, and I don't know what we're gonna do, because
Yeah.
I don't know how much is gonna be enough. Like I really don't. I really don't know how someone can't see this incident and really not be affected. Like, you go to the supermarket all the time. People go to the supermarket like it's like changing drawers for them.
Right.
And these folks were just going to the supermarket doing something normal, and this fucking guy comes in there doing that bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's just, it's uh, this shit is just it's tough, man. It's tough. And then you got the Fox Newses of the world who spread this bullshit, that's this replacement theory nonsense or whatever. And then I'm already seeing stuff where they're kind of like both sizing it. You know what I mean? Where they're saying like this guy Andrew Sullivan, who's like a conservative, he's like a big conservative writer, who's talking about he's equating people who talk about replacement theory with people who talk about critical race theory. And
Mm,
it's like those two things aren't the same thing.
not at all.
That's one. And what they've done is effectively, and this was the hope of the guy who started this whole critical race theory shit, was to make people just think about critical race theory for anything. And we've said it a bunch on this podcast. It's said in media all the time. Like, critical race theory is something they teach in law school. It's
Hmm.
not something that
In
people are
higher
learning in
in higher
kindergarten.
education,
Yeah,
higher education as well.
so this isn't something that is just taught, like to grade school kids or whatever. But they've made it appear that way. And then now they say, oh, well, this guy believed in the replacement theory thing, and that's just as equal as people who believe in CRT. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, yo?
Yeah,
you know
I mean, that's just insane. If you
yeah.
can equate those two, that's just insane.
Hmm.
And we've talked about it, man. It's just, I mean, we're looking at what happened in Israel, you know, uh just everywhere. It's just the same song, man. People of color in this world, it's just, it's never gonna be right. It seems
Yeah.
it's never gonna be right. Here we are aiding Ukraine, yet we still giving Israel money to do what they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's a constant level of frustration. Like James Baldwin kind of was saying, to be conscious and thinking about this stuff all the time. It's frustrating. I just don't know, and I'm afraid to know, what is going to be our threshold. Not even just for the black people, but after looking at what happened in Vegas, nothing. Just time after time after time in that front. But then as a people, I just really want to know when we're gonna be tired of this shit, man. Because they ain't stopped. We ain't stopped doing what we doing in the hood after that.
Hmm.
And it's just like, when are we really gonna be tired of this shit?
Yeah.
It scares
It's
me.
just, part of it, I think, is just, not even that we're desensitized to it. I think, like, as a people, and not just black people, I mean, like, as a country as a whole,
Hmm.
I think we've allowed ourselves to get to the point to think that there is nothing that we can do. You know, it's like it seems like, Washington D.C., or your state capital in whatever state you live in, it's like some far off place where they go there to decide how we live, and we have no impact, no control over that. And it's one of the reasons why I talk about voting so much. But but voting is not enough. You know what I mean? And you look at something like what we're talking about now with the or we're not talking about it directly, but kind of with the gun issue, and you see on some of these issues like background checks and things like that, where this is something that has like 90% support, right? Nothing in America, you couldn't get 90% of people to agree today's Sunday, you know, and and this thing has 90% support, right? But it gets no burn in the Congress, and
You're talking about the gun control.
yeah, well, not gun control, just background checks for people who
Yeah.
are purchasing guns,
Aspect of gun control, yes.
and it gets no burn in the Congress. And for a lot of folks, it's just like, well, I mean, they're not going to pass it, so fuck it, But it just goes back to that thing I always say, like people are just living their lives, and they're hoping that things are going to be okay, and somebody else is going to take care of that, like, oh, the gun issue, somebody's on that, people protesting, people are sending tweets, people writing letters, they'll get to it, or whatever your issue is, you think that somebody else is kind of taking care of it. But unless we as a collective people make these folks do the shit that we want them to do, nothing is ever going to change, man. And we'll keep having shit like these mass shootings and whatever else, man, that we find objectionable in this country will just continue to happen. And it'll just be like, to your point a second ago, like, when are we going to get tired? And it's like we get used to it. It's almost like the they say the frog boiling thing, like you throw the frog in boiling water, it's going to hop out. You put it in the pan and you turn the heat up slowly,
it'll just sit there and die.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah, we're all frogs in a pot.
Mm-hmm.
We're all frogs in a pot in this society.
And one more thing I meant to mention politically, I don't want to end without saying this. So I mean, I know we haven't done bingeables yet. Real quick, the baby formula shortage.
Yeah,
this week
about that before.
Was, I've been watching politics for a long time, so I understand that these kind of things happen. But for it to happen on this specific issue kind of really pissed me off. So there's a baby formula shortage in the country. Most people with kids, or you've been watching the news, you've probably seen it. And the Congress proposed this bill that's going to help them. Two different bills. One was to allow people who get WIC, which is like a nutrition program for low income Americans, to use WIC to buy baby formula, which I was surprised to learn they already can't do that. And I'm like,
since when?
That's what I thought. But they just passed the bill saying they can. So apparently they couldn't. So
it's been a while.
Yeah, like again, yeah, it's been a while since I had a kid too, but yeah, I was surprised, so that passed. But then there was a separate bill that they were trying to give the FDA some more money to help get these places that make the formula like back up and running or whatever. $28 million, million with an M. We just gave Ukraine $40 billion, $28 million to spend here in America to help get infants formula. And almost every single Republican voted against it. And then went out and held press conferences and events saying how we're not doing enough for the babies. Biden is failing. And they just want the issue. And meanwhile, you have people who can't get nutrition for their children. And like that shit, it just pisses me off in a special kind of way.
I saw the argument about that $28 million budget. They were like, some person was like, 20 million of it is administrative fees and salaries and
for government employees. Like, come on.
You can't make this shit up, man.
Yeah. But part of it too though is that, and part of it for is for people like Steve, as an example, people who are going to shoot first and ask questions later, right? And so they'll say 20 million of the 28 millions for salaries and fees, and people are like, yeah, see, this is why they don't be doing shit, blah blah blah, and that's what they're hoping, is that you're gonna just hear them say that and you just run with it,
Yeah.
But when you think about it, people in government don't make that much money.
No.
Their salaries and shit like that. That shit is already budgeted for. So why would
It's
they have to
already in the
pass
books.
another supplemental bill to pay people money? You know what I mean? It,
It's
it just
already
don't
in the
make sense.
books.
It don't make sense on his face or whatever. But they're hoping it's for people who don't know a lot about a lot, and they can just feed them that bullshit or whatever. But yeah, I just thought that shit was just a special kind of fucked up to rail on this, on how, and this is an important issue, to rail about how important this shit is, and then when it's time to do something about it, vote against it, and then continue to rail on how nothing's being done.
Yeah. The right is a special breed. I
Yeah,
can't even lie.
yeah.
Special breed.
So
Mm.
we'll see what happens, man. But it's the shit is fucked up, man.
Now, on the flip side, the one thing I do question is whether or not Biden has some executive powers to do something,
Mhm.
and I feel like he does somewhere
I,
somehow.
I like I told you in chat, I don't know, right? It's my understanding, or not my understanding. I know that he invoked the Defense Production Act to try to help these places that make the formula
Mm-hmm.
get back up and running, because they were down because they had some kind of bacteria or something that
Mm-hmm.
killed some kids, so they had to recall a bunch of formula and then shut the place down to get it sanitized or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to, that was part of what this $28 million was for, to get them like
Up
up
and
and
running.
going again. I saw a report, I don't know if this is true or not, because the place that I seen it is not something reputable, saying that while Biden was overseas, and he's in South Korea the last couple of days, that they were going to be bringing back shipments of formula from either Europe or Korea, whatever, back here. And even if they are, doing that, I mean, I don't know how much that helps the problem, but the part of the problem that I think people are overlooking, and we tend to do this anytime we get in a crisis, is that we say this thing is a problem, we got to fix it, and then a thing gets fixed, and then we just kind of forget about it, right? But when you see these issues in the food supply, part of the reason that these things are a problem is that we've allowed our supply of everything, whether it's food, TVs, refrigerators, whatever the thing is, you name, it's all become consolidated. And in this country, there's like two companies that make all the baby formula. So when one of them gets shut down, in this case, the Abbott place, it causes huge disruption, because we've allowed these companies to merge and become bigger, and they
Monopolies.
put all the other players out of business. And then when one of
Monopolies.
them has a problem, everything's fucked.
Monopolies.
Yeah, essentially.
We've
Yeah.
killed competition in this country, and it's funny how we run on this capitalistic ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You pull your bootstraps up, patent it, get LLC incorporation. Hey, you got a shot just like everybody else. Nah, doesn't work that way.
Yep.
We've monopolized so much, and it's our politicians, man, feeding their pockets, their donor bases. Hey, allow me to do this. I got you next 10 years.
Yeah.
It's nasty business, man. It's truly nasty business.
Yeah.
Truly
So,
nasty business.
you look at, like, when COVID was happening, they were saying like there was like a shortage of chicken, and it's because there's only like 2 or 3 producers that make all of the chicken, or not make, but like that,
Supply.
supply all of the chicken in the country, you know, and so when one of them has some kind of outbreak, be it a bacteria or whatever the fuck,
COVID.
yeah, it fucks up the entire supply, and you can't operate a place like that, a country as big as ours, on if this was like a small country, like the size of I don't know, like Colombia or something like that, maybe you can have two or three producers of chicken, and be straight, but you can't have a country the size of ours and only have 2 or 3 individual companies that produce a certain thing, because when one gets hurt in any kind of way, regardless if it's like, COVID for your example, or there's some kind of bacteria outbreak in the plant or something, like, it's gonna kill the entire market.
We're frogs in the pot, man.
Mm-hmm.
Frogs in the pot.
Yeah,
Moving on to something lighthearted. Tell me what you've been watching, man. I know you've been watching The Joint on Showtime. I'm gonna hopefully try to catch that.
yeah. I watched. I'm The Man Who Fell to Earth. That
Mhm.
show is I like it, man. I've enjoyed every episode so far. 4 episodes in. I'm not sure
Okay,
if it's gonna be like
past your
what.
3-episode threshold.
Yeah, I mean, episode 1 kind of. I after I watched episode 1, I felt like I'm gonna watch this show. I didn't feel like I needed to get to 3, but all 4 episodes have been good. They've done a good job. What I like is that, how some shows they'll spend, especially a brand new show in season 1, they'll
Spend a
spend like
lot
kind
of
of
time character development.
right character
Mhm.
development, building the world, over the first 2 episodes, and that kind of bores you sometimes.
Yes.
What they've done is they've spread out that world building a little bit, so they didn't just get into everybody's background in episode 1 or 2 and then say, okay, boom, now here's the show. So they've kind of been doing it as a slow burn. You kind of been learning like what's happening with the people before the events of the story they're telling now. That's been cool. Also, what I told you guys, the guy who's the alien, he doesn't come to Earth and just like automatically, speaks English and is blending right in. He seems off. When you talk to him, like somebody tried to shake his hand and he's looking like they put the right hand out and then he tries to shake with the left hand because he doesn't get like what they're doing or whatever. So like just like little stuff like that, like they're letting him develop like as a person, over the episode so far. And I'm finding that interesting. And it comes to like funny moments, like in episode 4, there's a scene where he's in a tub and he's like on a tablet and he's like just going over the internet or whatever, and he comes out to the room with the girl who's the other main character and this sideline character, and he walks out like butt ass naked. and the dude is, because they both know he's an alien, and the guy's like, whoa, nice penis, and the girl's like, oh my god, and she's like, you can't just walk out in front of people like that. She's like, on this planet we wear pants in front of people. And he's like, why? The temperature in this room is perfectly adequate.
Hey yo.
So it's like little stuff like that, and then because he like the whole thing is about his planet is dying and they need like an energy source, and so he came there to try to help get the energy source they need, but then whatever that happened on their planet is happening on our planet too, and so it's kind of gonna be like, help us, we're gonna help you help yourselves and help us at the same time. That's kind of like the vibe of what his mission is. And so he goes to like this like idea fest kind of thing and shows this device that he brought that he needs to, use for the energy thing or whatever. And so all these companies start sending over like term sheets because they want to like buy it, And so they're in a hotel and they're sending over like gift baskets and like all this kind of shit. And when they brought up the thing about the pants, he was like, it's just more excess of your people. He was like, look at all this stuff that you have acquired around you. He was like, if they had just simply sent over this pineapple with this perfect hexagon shapes, I would know I was dealing with scientists. But they sent this, and he holds up like a teddy bear or whatever. Like, so it's just like stuff like that. I like it, man.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah.
It's getting good reviews and solid actors involved. So
Yeah.
and Showtime typically, Showtime typically has decent shows.
And for me, I usually watch Billions. I get the Showtime subscription, watch Billions, cancel it. And only because this was coming on like 2 weeks after Billions finished, I kept it. And like I said, I'm loving the show so far. The other thing I watched, I told you guys I started watching The Good Place. I had already seen it, and they're only 30 minutes episodes, and it's 4 seasons. So I actually watched it. It's on Netflix, right? When it was on TV, it was on NBC, but it's on Netflix right now.
Okay.
So I watched the whole 4 seasons like over the last week. They're quick.
What's that about?
It's basically The Good Place is supposed to be like heaven, and so in the beginning, or Are you gonna watch it? Because there's a twist. I don't want to say if you may watch it.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's about like people die and like the good place is like the afterlife or whatever. And so you see them kind of like living their afterlife or whatever.
Got you.
And so like the good place is basically heaven, you know.
Okay.
So but they got like a couple of twists they throw at you throughout the seasons. But it's only 4 seasons. Episodes are only 30 minutes, and the longest season I think is 13 episodes. Most of them are 12.
Sheesh.
I think most seasons are 12, and I think the final season is 13.
Sheesh.
But they're 30-minute episodes, so they're quick watches. And not even 30 minutes, they're really like 22-minute episodes because it was on TV. So 30 minutes show on TV with the commercials is usually like 22, 24 minutes. So it's really it's a super quick watch. Like I said, I watched all 4 seasons in a week. So
wow. Sheesh.
But the other thing I watched, man, I watched a documentary on it's called Diamond Hands, and it was about that whole GameStop Wall Street bets thing that happened a couple of months ago in the stock market. And they were actually talking to some of the people who were involved in it, and they were saying like you're kind of giving you like a TikTok of like how things went down. Like on this date, this happened. This date, this person said this. This person posted this on Reddit or whatever, and you got to meet some of the people who invested. And the thing that I thought about it that really stuck with me, because that I do some investing, is just not getting caught up in greed, man. They had a guy on there, and his story connected with me the most. He's a vet. He had some kind of brain trauma that happened to him in Iraq in 2015. He'd been fighting with the VA trying to get his benefits. COVID happened. He loses his job. He don't know what he's going to do. And then he starts going online. He starts thinking about investing in Stimmy, and he starts reading about GameStop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. About 2 weeks later, he gets direct deposit in his account for $100,000. It's his VA money back paid to 2015, right? Because he's probably 100% connected. That's like $3,000 a month over a 5-year period. You know what I mean? So he gets like $100,000. He tells his wife, I think we should invest this in this GameStop thing. I've been reading about it, The wife's like, how much are you trying to do? He was like, 40, 45,000. The wife says, why don't you do all of it? He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So my man invests $45,000 into GameStop. He buys however many shares that gets you. He said the share price at that time was like $17 and some change a share. He buys $45,000 worth of shares at $45,000. All this GameStop shit in the market happens. His $45,000 is now over $1 million. The wife is telling him, we need to sell. Let's get out. This is the most we never could imagine having even that amount of money. He's like, no, I think it's going to go higher. Then this shit happened with Robinhood, where they wouldn't allow people to buy more. Like once the big dogs, the government got involved, they're like, yo, we got to stop this shit. Now they won't let people buy GameStop. They only let them sell. You sell a stock, it goes down, right? Everybody, all they can do is sell, so it just goes down. It drops down to like $100 a share from $400 something a share. Then it goes back to $400. He's like, yeah, see, I told you. Think it's gonna go to 1,000. He holds. The shit just keeps dropping. He sells when it's like $100 and something a share, and his $45,000 is $350,000 when he cashes
From
out.
$1 million.
But it was $45,000, went all the way up to $1 million, came back down, went up to $1 million again, and then came down to $350,000, and he finally sold and cashed out $350,000. But you could have had $1 million because you were being fucking greedy. Here, and the thing that really, like, I didn't feel bad for him because I felt like he was stupid, but it's like, here you were fighting with the VA trying to get your money. You finally get it, and you make this crazy investment that you shouldn't have made, right? Hindsight's 2020. It worked out, so that was a great investment. But when you look at the fundamentals, the technicals of GameStop, you shouldn't have made that investment in that company, right? The shit works out, right? You gambled, it worked out. You turn $45,000 to over $1 million. That's an insane return on investment. And instead of cashing out, saying, yo, I'm good, now let me take this $1 million and do something else with it. You continue, you stay at the table instead of pulling your chips back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like in Vegas, the house always wins. You know what I mean? They can get it back eventually.
And get that money, man. Get that money, man.
So, I was like, yo, and so, but yeah, it was crazy watching it though, man. They had one cat who's actually like an investor. He knows what the fuck he's doing. And it's like this Asian dude. This motherfucker made $8 million off that shit,
Damn.
off that GameStop shit. I'm like, yo. So it was crazy, man. But yeah, it was a documentary called Diamond Hands about the whole GameStop thing. And the thing that kind of also, I don't want to say I necessarily forgot about it, but it I guess I didn't see it that way. Like the people they were talking about like how desperate they were, like when COVID was happening. And we've talked, like I've said, I felt like I experienced COVID a little bit differently because for us, we had our financial house in order. So, I wasn't sitting around like, oh man, when am I gonna get a stimmy? Da 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 da. You know what I mean? And so to see some of the people in that documentary talk about like I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know, my car. They were trying to repossess my car, moving it around. Da, da, da. I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? Because it was a little bit different for me. So I get why people were making those kinds of moves like that. But yeah, it was just crazy that dude didn't cash that money out, man. I couldn't believe he'd let that shit happen to himself. So that's
Agreed.
basically it for me, man, for the stuff I've been watching.
Man, I haven't been watching anything new. I think the most recent thing that I rewatched again was just documentaries and footage on the murder of Pac and Big. And speaking of Biggie, yesterday was his birthday. He would have been 50 years old.
Damn.
New York City had the Metro cards with Biggie on it. Everybody was celebrating all around the world, and shout out to Christopher Wallace,
Yeah.
aka Notorious B.I.G. But yeah, I haven't been watching anything new. I've rewatched some documentaries on that and some movies on that, and just how crazy the whole thing was between Pac and Big's death and
Yeah.
the involvement of the LAPD and Death Row, and it's nasty stuff, man. Nasty
Yeah.
stuff.
It's crazy. Like you say, yesterday would have been his 50th because, like, how like people get trapped in your memory, and so it's hard to imagine like he would have been that old. Like
Yeah,
it don't seem like the 90s was like that long ago, and it's like, dang, he'd have been like, but I mean, literally, that was like, almost 30 years ago when that happened. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's crazy, man, crazy.
Yeah, and you look at guys like even though Busta um had a faster career than he did, them dudes are the same age.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like we get to see what Busta looks like now, and then we would have seen what Pac would have looked like. It just makes you wonder what if, and what it
Yeah.
would have been like. So, but I haven't been watching anything new. I actually went back. I've been watching on Amazon Prime the series Grimm.
Oh,
Grimm.
I heard, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember when it was out, a long time ago. Like the people that created Buffy and Angel series, were behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember watching it briefly here and there, but I saw it on Amazon Prime, so I was like, let me go back and watch it. It was a 2011 type series. Acting wasn't too bad, but it's just every show pretty much has the same theme, where he's a monster. He comes from a long line of monster killers, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a cop, and everything now that happens in Portland is tied around this life, and so every show is kind of like the same. So there's some back things going on. I'm kind of trying to wait to see with something big happens, but I'm gonna kind of probably fall off on it. But it was like 4 or 5 seasons of it, I think. So,
Okay.
but I ain't been watching anything new really. Not nothing new. Boxing was on last night. Not
Didn't
much
Floyd
going
fight
on.
somebody? I could swear I saw that on
Floyd
Twitter.
Floyd had an exhibition somewhere where he's getting like 50 to 80 million for an exhibition.
God damn.
This dude's just filthy rich, man.
Yo, regardless of what you think about Floyd, man, you can't knock this dude's ability to separate money from companies.
Yo, he is filthy rich, man. It's incredible, man. Like, and
Yeah.
people got the nerve to say he's broke. Like, this dude just gets money.
Yeah.
He gets an insane amount of money, and this was for an exhibition, and it was on pay-per-view. It was on DAZN. I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know what the numbers were looking like. I don't even know how he got that much money. But Floyd, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
I
is
didn't
wild.
watch that. I watched it was some fights on ESPN at first, and then it was a bout on Showtime. Super middleweight David Benavidez beat up on David Lemieux. So that was cool. But yeah, man. Other than
And
that,
that, like you said, he's filthy rich, and he tries to get richer, man. I remember before he fought Canelo, I was reading an article about him in ESPN magazine. It was talking about like at that time, that was when the Powerball was like 600 million or something.
oh yeah,
And
how he
he
bought
sent
so
a
many
dude.
tickets.
Yeah, he sent a dude to a gas station to buy $20,000 worth of tickets.
Oh yeah, Floyd
And
just
then in the
he
article,
getting it.
they were like, "Could you imagine if you were the person waiting in line to pay for like $10 worth of gas, and you standing behind this motherfucker buying $20,000 worth of fucking scratch, quick pick tickets?"
Yo, Floyd is yo, and I mean his gambling. You know, he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, gambles. But I mean, this dude has it, man.
Yeah,
He has it. I mean, it's gonna take 4 or 5 lifetimes for him to lose that money.
yeah,
It's insane,
yep.
insane. Shout out to Floyd. I don't know what happened, what were the results of that, but yeah, for the exhibition match, nothing to see there. 50 million right there.
50 million. That's crazy.
Something nasty.
And the person who fought him probably didn't give a shit because the opponent's purse is never as big as Floyd's. You
No,
know,
but
so
you
he
getting
got
something.
50, but that dude probably got 7, and that probably
Yeah,
was
he
the
getting
biggest
something.
payday of his career.
He getting something. Better believe that. You fighting Floyd Mayweather, you getting something. Floyd gonna make sure you get in the bag, man.
Yep.
For sure. For sure. But yeah, man, that's all I got for the day, man. You know, we coming in just under 2 hours. You know, shout out to Steve-O out there in New Orleans. Getting it in. You know, don't get too many hurricanes or hand grenades rather.
Yeah.
But take us out of here, man.
Slow down on the beignets.
And the crepes. Oh, I love the crepes. Take us out of here, VP.
All right, man. Hey, everybody, we definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us this weekend. For those who listen live while we were recording today, we definitely appreciate you taking that time out of your Sunday morning. For those who will listen once the episode posts, we definitely appreciate that time as well. Like EJ said earlier, just want to go ahead and send out another congratulations to all the folks who will be graduating this year, whether it's high school, community college, grad school, etc. You know, congratulations on you, and wish you nothing but the best in whatever that next step that you're going to take in life, be it, you know, going to school, starting a career, you know, whatever it is. Just wish you nothing but luck and success. I also want to just send a shout out to my cousin. Today's her birthday. Happy 41st, and hope that you have a great day today. Like we always say, you know, text somebody, you know, reach out to people, see how they doing, tell them you love them, etc. As far as for us, for the podcast, you can find our podcast on all podcasting platforms. Just search Castworthy. You can also follow us on any of our social media at Castworthy. On Instagram, though, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, leave us a like, comment, subscribe, follow, you know, tell a friend to tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We definitely would appreciate that. Leave us a comment, you know, help us, you know, get up in those algorithms, you know, so we can try to reach more people. We definitely would appreciate that. And other than that, again, just appreciate the time, and we're out. We love you, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.